I always get blamed for it because I always joked we better not end up with twins, and then we ended up with twins. And then we got to about the 12-week scan and we started noticing that there were problems, particularly with Seth, that he was slightly growth restricted compared to Connor. And we kind of knew at the 20-week scan that we were going to be dealing with a labour or an emergency C-section that was going to be not like months, we're talking like weeks away from where we were currently. And that's where our NICU journey actually began.
We were on the ward 5 days. That 5th day was Father's Day. So emotions were pretty high about wanting to get home. In the morning, it was all, yep, you're going home, all geared up for that. And then we did a final weigh-in and he was 10 or 20 grams less than his previous weigh-in from the day before, which meant, sorry, you're staying here. Yeah, and we'd organised for my parents and my wife's parents to meet us at home and meet their grandson. So that was rough.
Yeah, so the initial moments of finding out when he was going up to the NICU, I guess like just any parent, especially with their first baby, you know, obviously there's a bit of a fear factor.
So we found out we were pregnant in, 2021, November 2021. It wasn't planned, very spontaneous. Got to the 36-week mark and I'd noticed that there was reduced movement, and it was determined that we would have a C-section, emergency cesarean section, either that night or the following day. We were just, yep, let's do it, 10 to J. So I remember being in the birthing suite and I turned around to him and I was like, you better start ringing people because like you're going to be a dad, yeah, so, sorry. "15 minutes past 8, Riley was born. When she was born, she wasn't breathing. There was none of that birth you see in the movies, you get the cry and they lift the baby up, and none of that. From there it was just like, I can't even tell you, like there was no time. So it turned out that Riley had an incident occur in utero a couple of weeks before she was born that resulted in HIE, and she'd actually had no blood flow and oxygen flow for a couple of weeks. Yeah, when we moved to palliative care for the last 2 days of her life, it just meant that Jason and I were there for everything from start to finish. The moment she entered the world to the moment she left, we were here.
There's a plethora of reasons a bub might come to NICU. Some will have stays that go well beyond their time as a neonate, so that window is from birth until 4 weeks corrected, so 4 weeks after a due date. I guess I come into what dads need in NICU with a bit of a unique perspective, being a male and being a dad myself. I've no doubt had conversations with dads that they would never have dreamed of having with one of my female colleagues. I guess some of the feedback I've gotten from dads is that I've been a bit of a point of call for someone they can let their emotions out to and not feel judged. Us best supporting dads in their transition into fatherhood is some of the most important things we can do for bub. I think a service like SMS4dads for NICU is probably one of the few services that would be for dads in isolation. The dads that I've spoken to are just at a bit of a loss as to how they can support their wife, how they can support mum, how they can, and the last question they think of is how do they support themselves.
Getting those SMSs, 3 times a week, but to get something like that, it is just sort of that external source. It's just something that you can sort of keep to yourself and think, okay, it's all going to be okay. Like this is normal.
For Jason and I, the journey, whilst it's the same, it's been really different. And it's hard to explain. It's almost like you're walking down the same path, except there's this huge divide. It's just, I guess, for myself, there's a real physical trauma that comes with child loss and the pregnancy. And for Jace, it's emotional.
Psychologically, it kind of messes with you a bit, and then you're trying to help her through that process as well.
I've suffered from depression. I've bottled it up. Ended up sitting on the ED in Sydney, not knowing who I was, how to start my van. You know, to think that a dad is getting that way when there is help there, it's just, you know, it should be an enjoyable time, not a stressful time.
We had this like little secret kind of pact, and our little hospital room became our little bubble, and we would break down in that room together, and I would break down on him, or you know, he would say things and he would ask questions, and we would sit and process things in complete silence. But it was having the space to do that and be emotional and not be judged and not feel like, you know, everyone's watching.
It hasn't been easy by any stretch. There will be days where the stress of the NICU journey kind of manifests against each other, but most of the time we know that we're each other's, like as cliche as it sounds, we're each other's rock. Sometimes it can be 2 steps forwards and 1 step back in the NICU. This is normal. Expect some ups and downs along the way. That is the epitome of the NICU journey. So I remember one of the doctors had the conversation with us that we're going to lose Seth. So we had to emotionally prepare ourselves for we're going to lose our boy. And it was a few days of really intense emotions. And then all of a sudden, his kidneys just started working again. So they jumped straight on it and he handled it like a champion. And I could not express how proud I am. He's an absolute fighter.
Companionship is a great way to show your support. Listening, making time for her, planning a walk together. These are ways to let her know that you are there. I think Jason really did that for me. Yeah, he really showed up. Seeing it now, it makes you realise how much they put aside.
I guess the simple answer is I just love her. I just love Megan with everything. And I guess when the boys were born, that love kind of became intrinsically linked with gratitude because she gave me the two best gifts I'll ever get.